or Nectarinia balfouri, has a long crooked beak and lives from the nectar of flowers. It lives only on Socotra and is one of 6 endemic species. The bird population on Socotra is the largest in the Middle East, numbering 1,000 breeding pairs. The shallow waters around the island, where shoals of fish converge to float with the currents, are home to numerous bird colonies. Today, a birdwatcher's expedition to the beach will be looking out for various species of seabird. They will record their meeting and breeding places. Ornithologists from BirdLife International are teaching Socotran children how to observe and recognize the life and the peculiarities of the rare species on the island. It's the only way they can appreciate their rarity and preserve them for future generations when they grow up.
That's got red legs, it's got red bill, and then
Dr. Porter, one of the most renowned ornithologists specializing in birds of the Middle East, is monitoring with his colleagues a colony of fishing petrels, or Bulweria FELIX, and of shearwaters fishing at sea level among the houri boats. Socotra is a delicate ecosystem. Will it survive the challenges of economic growth that will bring along a new harbour and an offshore trading centre? Will this environment manage to survive? It's early morning. Yesterday, Saleh and his friends, the boat owner Abdul Ghani and his assistant Didas, positioned their nets by the Hawlaf Cape. Like all fishermen, they have great expectations. The first net is empty. The second net contains a small shark. But the third is heavy. They drag up a good weight of fish. In little more than a day, they've caught 20 pounds of big fish, tuna, barracuda, and whiting. During the fishing season, they must catch as much as possible. From May to September, during the monsoon season, when the sea is stormy, they can't go far out. The catch today is plentiful. That last net was their salvation. The catch is a few 20-pound tuna, barracuda, large whiting and derrick that lie on the floor of the boat. We shall leave the coast to venture into the mainland, into the mysterious land of the dragon blood tree itself. The road mounts to the Dixon Plateau. We're on our way to the area of million-year-old tree fossils. According to Pliny the Elder, the tree appeared from the blood of the dragon killed by a dying elephant. Pliny is hinting at an old Hindu myth. This is the only place where this giant 1,000-year-old fossil with its mushroom-like top grows. The plants are kept alive by dew that falls at night, itself caused by rising sea mists up high at the top of the mountains. At night they absorb moisture enough to survive the heat. The higher we go, the more of these 100-year-old trees we see. It's spring and the dragon trees are in bloom. The whole area is strewn with its typical umbrella-like tops. Higher up and above us we can see whole forests of them. If we need proof that the ecosystem where dragon trees have existed for millions of years is dying out, it is that there are almost no small trees. Scientists presume this is because cattle graze here, eating any young greenery which has a hard time germinating at all. We meet nomadic people, shepherds from the highlands. They live their solitary lives in the interior of the island, where few paths lead. In the damp highlands, with better conditions for pasture, they live by breeding small cattle, sheep and goats. The plateau is cut by canyons like Wadi Dahero. Beyond it, we see the slope of Firmichin with the densest woodland of dragon trees. A true tertiary forest. We're coming into the area of the cave people. We're entering their territory in the rocky highlands. Their chief, Sheikh Ali, slowly approaches. The Socotrans build the stone enclosures outside their caves in an ingenious way. They close the entrance so that from a little way off, it's hard even to notice the cave. Above these dwellings, one often sees the curious and endemic Socotran starling. Canyons split the highlands along the north-south line. Below, almost 300 meters lower, at the bottom of Wadi Dahero, glistens the creek where the family goes to fetch water. Sheikh Ali is counting how many times in his life he had to descend and climb this steep wall to get water from the canyon. Nowadays, Ali finds it easier to feed his family. He guides UN explorers across Dragon Tree country as he knows almost every inch of the highlands. Ali speaks the unusual Socotri language of the old settlers, which is older than most modern Arabic languages. This ancient Semitic language from the 3rd millennium BC shows when the first settlers arrived on the island. Ali knows many secrets of traditional healing. In the old Socotri language, he explains to the young Abdul Latif why and how the sabah is collected. It's the sap of aloe periyi, which nourished his ancestors.
So we had teams of international and Yemeni researchers working together with our local team here in Socotra, which is now 58 strong and is distributed all over the islands. The people who live in Socotra have, before the project, had very little understanding of how unique and how important it is the environment they live in. They had no idea that the plants that for them are obvious and they see them every day, that those plants and animals found only here, considered so important by all people all over the world.
The greatest scientific enigma is whether this tree, which is hundreds of years old, can regenerate. Will it die out? Have conditions up here on the high plateau changed too much?
Trasena cinnamomum, which is called also the dragon blood, is relic species and also endemic. Is endemic because it's found only here in Socotra, nowhere else in the world. The only another cross variety is found in Canary. It's called the Dracena draco. Here it's quite common. It's found from 500 meter and up to 1,600. It has been investigated on the problem of regeneration of this tree because many botanists have been here surveying the island, and they discovered that there is no small trees growing on the island. As we see here, we are on the area the most dense in all the island. Firmenhin is the area when we can find the highest population and the most dense population of Dracena cinnamomum, but no regeneration of Dracena cinnamomum has been noticed, has been found here, or we can say very, very little regeneration is found here in this area. Under the project, I mean the biodiversity conservation project, we undertaken so many ecological surveys. This surveys is carried not only by researchers, but also by what we called in our project the extension officers, local people. Each area of the island, the tribes allocate or designate one person to work with the project as extension officer, as educational officer. So those people also, we train them how to carry out those sample surveys, to make transect and to count the number of trees, to look for regeneration. So this surveys is carrying out, and until now we covered half of Dracena where Dracena cinnamomum is found, and still confirmed that no regeneration occurred in this area.
In an area whose environment has changed little since the Mesozoic era, time is measured in thousands of years. Yet during the last century, many things have changed in this ageless garden. Sheikh Ali and a Bedouin from the neighboring village climb a tree to show how the dragon's blood used to be harvested. They scratch drops of coagulated red resin from the trunk. The Arab name, Dam al-Akhwain, or blood of two brothers, alludes to the old legend of Castor and Pollux, also called the Dioscura, or sons of Zeus. This is the origin of the old name for Socotra, Dioscorida. In ancient time, dragon's blood was used for embalming, as a natural dye and as a disinfectant. Roman gladiators used to smear their bodies with it to prevent infection of the wounds they received during their fights, and to give themselves an alarming, gory appearance. The German myth of Siegfried, who bathed in dragon's blood in order to become invulnerable, shows that the use of the powder made from dragon's blood spread far to the north and even entered a legend. Coagulated drops of blood, once valued like treasures, are symbolic of a special mythological power. The men greet us, and then they leave for their separate caves. Soon after sunrise, Amma and his shark hunters return after a night of fishing on the open sea. They mostly fish for those species of shark that swim far out from the mainland coast. They drag their catch onto the beach at Hadibo, where a throng is waiting in an open-air butcher's shop. Shark fins are valuable, so the fisherman cuts them off first. When ground into powder, they're believed to be an aphrodisiac that's highly priced on Eastern markets. The beach at Hadibo comes alive every time the fishermen arrive. Flocks of birds await the leftovers. The principle of natural economy is each to his own, so everything is put to use and shared out on the beach. And then the sea washes away the waste. This white meat will probably end up at desert markets in the interior of Yemen. The traditional form of shark fishing with wooden houris around Socotra has undergone great changes. The scale of the shark trade might eventually change the environmental balance in the waters around the Isle of Socotra. The loss of sharks as the first predator at the top of the food chain in this part of the Indian Ocean may have dire repercussions for the whole ecosystem. The gutted fish have to be washed before being salted and dried. The meat will be dried and salted in a shed on the beach.